Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be picking up on the series Pluto Square Pluto. Is this a midlife crisis? In part one of the series, I discussed Pluto Square Pluto transit and how it tied in with my life, as well as is this a midlife crisis that I am currently experiencing? So, today we're going to pick up on the psychological architect of this transit. I'm going to discuss 5 different stages of this transit, what it looks like, what we can do to improve ourselves as we're going through this transit, as well as tying in some of my own experiences. So, with Pluto Square Pluto, if you feel like your life is falling apart right now, if you don't recognize yourself, if everything you built feels like it's crumbling, then I need you to stay with me, because what I'm about to share might be the most important thing you hear this year. What you're experiencing might not be a breakdown. As I stated, this might just well be the Pluto Square Pluto. And this is one of the most powerful initiations a human soul goes through in their entire lifetime. So, we're going to break down those 5 psychological stages so you'll know exactly where you are and what's happening and where you're headed. And as I stated in part 1 of the series, I discussed how Pluto Square Pluto transit typically starts at the age of 40, but some people experience their midlife crisis at 36. So it's like age 36 to 60. So yeah, let's get started. Before we get to the stages, let me just kind of again break down the foundation real quick, just to get a clearer understanding of what I kind of discussed it earlier, as well as in part 1. We know Pluto to be the planet of death, rebirth, power, and the soul level truth, right? We know that Pluto moves slowly, and when it's transiting, I can't say that word, wait. You guys know what I'm talking about. But when Pluto is transitioning, there it is, it forms a 90-degree square to your natal Pluto. It's essentially your own deepest nature turning on itself. So it's like my own self is forcing an evacuation. And again, as I stated, it happens once in a lifetime. In this transit, this midlife crisis, honey, it does not ask for permission. This transit comes for everything that is false, every identity that was built on fear, every relationship that was held together by obligation, every version of you that was built for survival rather than truth. Oh, it's crumbling. It's coming down. It's coming down. So with that being said, stage 1 is the descent. The descent. It usually begins with something breaking open. Maybe it's a relationship ending. Maybe it's a job that's falling through. Maybe it's a health scare. Maybe it's a sudden feeling of, I can't keep doing this. Something just cracks. And suddenly the life you carefully constructed doesn't feel like yours anymore. Baby, let me tell you. The amount of times that I've said, I can't keep doing this is ridiculous. Like, there's been moments where I've been freaking like totally confused, back and forth, thinking like, am I going crazy? like, I know I've built a life that I felt was pretty okay. And now me feeling like a complete and total loss with different areas in my life. And I've noticed that most of those areas where I've had a complete total, like, I won't say no clarity, but maybe a little blurriness, is when it comes to relationships and when it comes to my career. I am a social worker, so I do more work on the clinical side of things. I like to call myself a soul coach, and I do plan on getting licensed. So I'm working towards all of that, to be able to, practice more of what I am really into when it comes to psychological matters. I have my undergraduate degree in psychology. As I stated, I have my master's in social work, where I've took the clinical route. So the DSM-5, all of that I'm used to. I got it in the bag, basically. So I said all that to say that you think you have your life set up, right? You think you've mastered it, but then it's like you hit a certain age, it's like, boom. What the hell? And this is stage 1, the descent. This is where the ego fights really hard here. Because remember, it's the ego's job to maintain the structure, to keep things intact, to keep things familiar. So during the descent, resistance is at an all-time high. What did that resistance look like? Oh, well. You might be asking yourself, yo, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get this together? Like, what's going on? I went to school this many years. Like, why can't I get this together? Why things feel this way? But there's nothing wrong with you, right? You're just being called down. And Pluto doesn't leave voicemails. When it calls, you got to answer. So the descent is not a punishment. It's more so of an invitation to go deeper than the surface of who you've been performing yourself to be. I'm going to say that again. The descent is not a punishment, but it's an invitation for us to go deeper than the surface of who we've been performing ourselves to be. So ask yourself, who have I been performing to be? What has my ego been doing here? Why is it that I built this structure? I built this consistency, and then all of a sudden it's like, boop! What's really going on? What's wrong with me? Why can't I just get it together? And I hope that makes sense. I hope that I kind of, tie that in to give you guys an understanding of my own personal experiences and how things can get a little muggy and a little cloudy, right? Now, stage 2. We're going to stage 2, and this is the underworld. This is a stage that most people are terrified of, but honestly, it's the most sacred stage. Because this is where you're in the between now. This is where the old self doesn't fit anymore. This is where the new self hasn't arrived yet. And this is where everything is dark. This stage is what mystics call the dark night of the soul. I know you've heard of that, the dark night of the soul. This is what psychologists call the dissolution of the false self. What every ancient initiation story describes as the time the hero spent in the belly of the beast. So this is where You might feel deeply disoriented, like you don't know who you are anymore. This is the stage where you might feel isolated, where you're like, no one around you can understand what's going on, what's happening. This is the stage where grief without a clear source is mourning something you can't even name. It's where anger that seems to come from out of nowhere, just boom, like what's going on? It's a strange stillness underneath all of it, like something is waiting. In that waiting, in that stillness, that's the real you. So what does it feel like? What does that stillness feel like? How does it feel waiting beneath all the noise? So let's say up into from before you turn 40, life may have just been like, okay, just going with the flow. I got things in order. I'm going to do this in my 20s, this in my 30s, blah, blah, blah. And you think you just got it all in the bag, right? But then there's a moment of stillness that hit. And you like, hey, hold up. What's going on? But again, the underworld is not meant to be rushed. It is not a problem to be solved. But, well, I'm saying, however, it is a passage to be moved through with honesty, grief, and with willingness. The people who suffer the most in this stage are the ones who keep trying to escape it. Through busyness, numbing, forcing the next chapter before this one is finished, speaking. Pluto ain't gonna reward it. You gotta be in it. There's no bypassing. Pluto rewards going all the way down. And remember, everybody's gonna go through this. From my research, it says everybody gonna go through this. So I'm just preparing those who's coming after me to just know what this midlife crisis look like, and that, hey, it has a astrology name tied to it. It has Pluto square Pluto. It's a transit. And I really enjoy astrology because to me it's like another personality test. That's how I like to look at astrology. I know some people ain't with it, but me, it be making sense to personality types. Like it really does. But anywho, let me stop rambling. Let's go to stage 3. Stage 3 is the evacuation. This is the stage where something shifts. This is the stage where the fog starts to lift. Not because things are better for you yet, but it's because you're starting to see clearly for the first time, maybe in a long time. And honestly, it can be unflinching, because an evacuation is just what it is, an evacuation. You're getting rid of something, and it is what it sounds like. But what does it mean? What gets evacuated? So the wounds that were never truly healed, but only managed. Most of us, and not all of us, which I say all of us, have a lot of childhood trauma that has truly not been healed. The patterns that have been running your life from behind the scenes, that's got to go. The places where you gave your power away and told yourself it was love, that got to go. The ways you have been complicit in your own smallness, playing small, staying in your comfort zone, gotta go. And let me just stop right there, because talking about staying in your comfort zone and being small, I never thought I'd be on here doing some videos, like putting my voice out there and my knowledge. But hey, like, I might be going through this evacuation stage, stage 3, I don't know. Anyway, so it's also the stories you inherited about who you are, what you deserve, what's possible. This stage is often where therapy does become incredibly powerful, where journaling cracks something open, where you start saying out loud the things you've never let yourself think. This is what's important. Evacuation is not the same as self-destruction, right? The goal is not to tear yourself apart. The goal is truth. And truth, even when it's painful, is always the beginning of freedom. And this is, again, that stillness, is sitting with yourself. It's hard for some people to sit with themselves. Even if you're not going through a midlife crisis, it's still hard for people to just sit with themselves, to just be in that stillness and just nurture themselves and understanding who they are. A lot of people suffer with that. So imagine square Pluto transit. Imagine midlife crisis. Now you really got to sit. You really got to sit back and examine things. Because you can't until Pluto like, nah, you're going to stay here till you get this. Because it's elevating you. It's elevating you to the next level of consciousness. Another higher level of consciousness. You can't fight it. You might as well work with it. And when you're working with it, do it for the highest of your calling, your highest being. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Where does that put me? Imagine your life when you come out of this transit, the better person you're going to be, how elevated you became. It's going to be amazing, in my opinion. Stage 4, the reclamation. This is where the energy shifts. Stage 4. This is where light starts returning. I can see the light. This is where the extraordinary happens. This is where you begin to build or rebuild. But you're not rebuilding from the old blueprint. Not from who your family said you were, not from who your wounds trained you to be, not from who the world needed you to be or needed you to perform to be. This is where you begin to build from a soul level. And oh my gosh, I love talking about spiritual things. I love psychology. I love all of that, human behavior. I just love it, guys. I'm sorry. I just went on a rant, but I just love it. So reclamation looks different for everyone, right? For some, it's walking away from a career that was never theirs. 2, setting boundaries they've never been able to hold before. 3, ending dynamics that required them to be less. That one touched. Stepping into creative work, healing work, or purpose-driven work that feels terrifying and completely right at the same time. Man, y'all ever notice where some people, like even if you look at celebrities, when people hit their 40s, man, that's when people be really living. That's when life is really living. I've noticed that, with just people in my personal life, like they may have struggled so many years, but once like 40, 45, whatever, man, life is like, yo, this is good. Money good, family good, needs met. It gets better, but you have to go through that little phase, a little Pluto, square Pluto. But this is where the authentic power begins to emerge. Not power over others, not power through control, but the unshakable inner authority of a person who has been to the bottom of themselves, but they come out knowing who they are. You begin to feel hungry in a new way. You begin to feel hungry for truth, for alignment, for the life that actually belongs to you. Because so much of our life, we've been living for other people, right? We've been living for other people. But in this phase, stage 4, this is where your life actually belongs to you. Stage 5, the rebirth. The person who comes through a Pluto square Pluto transit is not the same person who went in. You ain't gonna be the same person. And that is exactly the point. This is the point that I've been trying to drive since the beginning of this series. Rebirth doesn't always look dramatic from the outside. It might look like a quieter life, fewer relationships, but deeper ones. It's less performing and more being. But internally, everything has changed, right? Everything has changed. You now carry a self-knowledge that cannot be taken from you because you earned it in the dark. You now carry an authentic power that's not borrowed from a title, a role, or someone else's validation. You now carry a fearlessness that comes from having already faced the thing you most feared, which is yourself. 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 Compassion that has depth. You understand suffering, and you also know your worth. A life that is, maybe for the first time, is actually yours. People who have been through this transit, or people who have been through their midlife crisis, have a certain quality about themselves. You can feel it. It's a groundedness, it's a directness, and it's a refusal to pretend like we ain't performing. It's just a calmness. Because they have stopped managing their lives and start living it. So, guys. So if you're in a midlife crisis right now, if you're in stage 1, 2, 3, I want you to hear this. You are not falling apart. You are being taken apart so that what is real can finally stand. Pluto does not break you. It breaks the version of you that was never really you to begin with. So trust the process. Go all the way through. Don't bypass what is asking to be felt. And on the other side, I promise you, there's a version of yourself waiting that you will be so grateful you became. And this is me. I'm in the middle of this. So I'm excited about the ending. I'm excited about the ending. But if this resonates, like this video and follow for more content on astrology, transformation, and soul level healing. And drop in the comments which stage you are in right now. Or if you're not in a stage and you just wanted the knowledge to prepare yourself, let me know. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.